Alright, so what we've got here is the basic shell of the car. We've got the fenders, we've got some windows. What I want to do this video is just kind of look at the hood and maybe adding a little bit of detail to the front of the car. Um, Most of the time, when you're working on something that goes across the car, you want the whole car to be merged together and you want to treat it as one piece. Because if you come in here and you extrude, say you extrude this out, and then you scale it down, you'll notice you have two edges or two sides, right? And that's not always what we want. Sometimes maybe it is, so it kind of depends, but for the most part, you want to have the car combined together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. Some of you might have noticed on the last video I didn't actually merge the windows in. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my whole car, and I'm going to do an edit mesh and merge. And as long as my merge tolerance is 0.01 or 0.001, it should merge everything together into one piece. So I'm just going to combine it first. I didn't do that last time. I'm going to select the whole thing and I'm going to merge it. So now I have one solid car. And I just want to come in and I want to work on the hood a little bit. And I didn't know exactly what this hood scoop or hood area kind of really looked like on an Explorer. And these images don't give me a whole lot of detail. Even from the side view, I really just can't see exactly what it's doing because it's such a low poly or a low resolution image. So what I needed to do is make sure that I understood what I was looking at. So I came here and I just kind of found an image of the hood that I wanted. And you see it's just kind of a bulge here in the center of the car. And it actually comes down and you have some extra detail on the front of the car where this comes through. So I thought I'm going to need edge loops here on the front of the car too. So I decided it would be better, instead of actually extruding this piece, if I actually came in and inserted edge loops. So I'm going to insert an edge loop here on the outside of my hood and then here on the inside. And I want to do this on both sides of the car. And then I'm just going to come through and put one edge around here for the back of it. So now that I've got those edges in, it should be really easy to just come in, select all of these faces, hopefully. And then if I look at it in the side view, I'm just going to pick this up, and I'm actually going to rotate it forward a little bit, because I feel like it probably raises up more in the back than it does the front. I'm not sure about that. I guess I'm taking a little bit of artistic liberty. But once you get it pulled up like that, you'll see that we've created that kind of that shape that was in the image that we saw. And now we've got these edges here on the front to work with. And this is where things get really confusing, because you have all of these edges on your car and you don't know which ones are the front and which ones are the back. The easiest way to deal with that for me is just to come into the side view, select pretty much everything that's not the front of the car, and I'm going to extract that. And now I can assign that to a new layer, and we'll call it extraction, and I can turn that off. So now I'm just working with the front of my car, and it makes things a lot easier. There are other ways to do it, but for me this seems to be the most effective way. So I've got all these edges, and I need to figure out exactly what to do with kind of the front of my car. And again, I run into the problem where my image here doesn't quite give me enough detail because it's such a low quality image. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look back here, and you see that coming straight down there's the front of the grill here, and then it just kind of dips back to where the lights are. And there's a little shelf under here, and I assume there might be probably not a shelf on the top actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in and I'm going to treat it like there's not a shelf at all to begin with. And I'm just going to pull both of these back on both sides. pull them straight back to here. And I need to make sure I keep my contours pretty accurate, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these straight back also, just to help keep kind of the shape of the car that I want. Right about here. I'm working in the top view with this, just trying to gauge it. Like I've said a couple of times, this image isn't great, so a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is kind of guesswork. When I'm here and I've got kind of that front shape of the car that I wanted, I'm going to need to come in and I'm going to need to create that shelf that comes under, kind of comes underneath the light here. So that's something we're going to have to work on. At this point, I'm only working on one side of the car, so I'm just going to delete the other half. And I'm going to come in and I'm just going to try to shape these directly under the light. And I just need to create the shelf. And again, I'm referencing this image, so the shelf is really going to be a part of the entire kind of front bumper here. So really, I could just pull this out and then insert another edge loop through here and then pull this one back to create that shelf that I had, that I needed. And a couple of extra modifications. Again, a lot of this is just kind of guesswork because I don't have a great reference image of the car. But I assume I'm just going to start to pull these back and start to kind of outline my light here. And that way I'll have kind of the shape that I need, hopefully. So I've got this here. I'm going to go ahead and turn my extraction back on for now, just to kind of see, make sure everything still lines up, and it does. So now I can come in and I can actually start working on the bumpers. So I've got this shape here. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to do the same duplicate special as I did before and keep this side as an instance. For some reason it's too far out, so I'm going to need to move my pivot point here, and then I can do the duplicate special. There we go. And now all I want to do is I just want to kind of create this bumper here on the front. And like I said before, you're normally going to want to need to connect these. I'm going to do it without connecting them just because I can connect them later. But I'm going to extrude these off. I'm just going to scale it down and come in here to the front view and just kind of pull it forward a little bit. What that's done is created a really generic bumper. There's not a whole lot of detail in it, but it's definitely there. And the problem is, now on the inside of my car, you can see I've got these two extra faces because it wasn't merged together. So I just went ahead and deleted those. And now when I merge the car, it should work out. So I've got the front here, I've got the side. Need to do kind of the similar process to the back of the car. Just creating the bumper. Just going to select all the way across, and I'm going to extrude. I'm going to scale it down. Come into the side view. Then I'm just going to pull it out. I'm just trying to keep everything in the right shape. And we should end up with some sort of decent bumper. Again, it's really generic, really vague, but it pretty much gets the job done. So now we've got our wheels, we've got our front. We haven't really worked with the grille yet. And we've got some really basic shapes for the headlights. So we need to come in and start to add kind of this detail in to the front of the car. So you can see I'm going to need to actually combine these before I can do that, because everything streams across the entire front. So I'm going to just combine these together. I'm going to merge them down the middle. And then I'm going to start to create some of these shapes. I'm just going to extrude this one, bring it down. I'm going to pinch it in just a little bit. And then I'm going to extrude it a second time and just kind of drop it back. I'm going to do the same thing for the grill up here. Start here. The problem is my edges kind of run into the grill right there, so I'm going to need to come in and actually grab all of this here and kind of pull it down a little bit. And now I can come in and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to extrude. I'm going to scale it down until it kind of fits. I'm going to make sure all of my verts here are in the right place. I think right about there is good. And then my side verts, I think I need to pinch those in a little. And then I should be able to come in and just extrude those back into the car like I did the other portion. And with that, again, really generic, but the shapes are starting to come together. So that's pretty much it for this video. Just kind of detail the front shape, and then you can come in and do the same thing on the back and just kind of make the license plate and a couple of the other details around. And then what we'll do in the next video is actually look at door handles, the wheels, and maybe a little bit more detail in places. You can do, if you have roof racks, or maybe extra hood scoops, any extra detail, you can do a lot of that using just the basic extrude and insert edge loop tools that we've been using most of the semester. So you should be pretty familiar with it by now. Actually, before we do close on this video, I want to come in and do the front and back windshields. So I'm just going to grab all of these faces. I'm going to extrude them just a bit. And then I'm going to pull them back, same as I did for the side windows. Instead of pulling them straight in, I'm actually just going to pull it straight back using the power button here. And I'm going to do that same thing on the back of my car. So you notice my image plane's starting to get in the way. I don't need that anymore because I should have a pretty good idea about where the back window is. So I'm just going to come in and create my back glass. And then extrude it again and just pull it straight back in. So now I'm going to come up to my normals and just soften all my edges here. And I've got something that basically looks like a car, hopefully. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and we're going to make another video that addresses some other details.